Today we're going to learn how to create a stuffed pizza. But before we do, let's go over a little bit of the history of pizza. Pizza's been around for a very long time, and it's said that the ancient Greeks actually developed the concept of pizza by piling food on top of flat bread. But it was the Italians that began to add more toppings to the pizza, starting with one created for the Queen Margherita. To make it more Italian, the chef who created it used the colors of the Italian flag. For example, green was basil, red tomato, and of course, white was mozzarella. Pizza was then brought to the United States, where we put our own personal spin on it and enjoy it as we know it today. Many artists are inspired by things they see in their everyday lives, things in popular culture. These are called pop artists. British artist Lucy Sparrow is one such artist. She has created an entire convenience store with hand-stitched items of things you would see in an actual store. That's right, everything you see here is made with the same materials that you will be using to create your stuffed pizza. Felt, hand sewing, and maybe a little bit of puffy paint. American artist Chris Uphughes is where we will be getting our inspiration for the silly face for our pizza. Chris is a street artist, meaning he creates artwork that can be found out on the streets, but he also does a lot of paintings, creating of badges, buttons, stickers, you name it. But take a look at these awesome faces. Those will be our inspiration for our stuffed creations. So let's get started. To create your stuffed pizza, you'll need the following supplies. You'll need felt in a variety of pizza-ish colors, scissors, pins, needles, and I like to use the needles that have the big eye but the sharp tip. They're called chenille needles. Thread and paper to create your pattern. When a person is sewing, they almost always work from a pattern. So our pattern is going to dictate the size of our slice of pizza. So let's go ahead and figure that out. I've already taken a piece of felt. I'm going to make a small piece of pizza, one that's this size of the felt. Knowing that I wanted it this size, I traced a piece of paper and cut it out. That will help me make the correct size for my pizza. Now, I don't want my pizza to get really small. I'm going to try to keep it about the size of this paper. Something that's very tiny might be difficult for me to stuff. So let me just find the middle of this line segment, which is right here. And then I'm going to look at the top. I could keep it straight if I wanted to, but I know that the top of pizza is curved like an arc. So starting on one end, I'm just going to draw an arc like a rainbow. And there we go. And now I'm going to connect my dots. I'm going from here down to there. And I'm going from here to there. Once you've got your pattern created, go ahead, cut it out, fold your fabric in half, and place your pattern on top. To secure it in place, when you're cutting it out, use pins. Be careful of the pins, they're very sharp. Push them all the way through all three pieces, the paper and the two pieces of fabric, before you cut. And as you cut, make sure you are cutting through both pieces of fabric. It helps to use a pair of fabric scissors, scissors that you only use with fabric so they stay nice and sharp. When you're finished cutting it out, go ahead, remove your two pins, making sure to always park them where they're supposed to go, and now you have your front and your back for your pizza. Does that sound? So I'm going to make a little pizza person. So to do that, I'm going to use two pieces of felt, two rectangles. These will be my two arms. What I'm going to do before I do anything else is I think I'll cut out some angle lines. Those are going to be the little fingers for my little pizza person. You can cut your fingers out any way you want to. I'm just angling my scissors one way and then the other way to create the little fingers. There we go. I'll do the same thing on the other one. Maybe later I can put a little extra felt on there to add some fingernails and get a little bit fancy if I want to. But right now I'm just angle cutting to make my little fingers for my pizza person. Now listen carefully, because this is about to get a little tricky. So I'm going to move one piece out of the way and just focus on this one. I need my arms to be on, when I'm finished, to pop out of my pizza like that. That's what I want my arms to look like. To make that happen, I have to think a little bit in reverse. So I'm going to flip this arm inward, making sure that this line matches up this one, not too close to the top, but leaving some space near the bottom. So if this were a line segment, which it is, I'd find the middle and then just put one end of my arm there. Not center the arm, just put maybe one end of my arm there. That means when my arm pops out, it'll be right here. So do that one there and do the same thing on the other side of this one. So find the middle of the line segment, make sure it matches up at the bottom of the arm, just like I did this one. Perfect. So it looks like a little mummy. He's got his arms crossed over his chest. Now I'm going to take my top piece of pizza and lay it right on top. That's right. I'm hiding those arms inside. Now I'm not stuffing this one. I'm leaving it just the way that it is. So now I'm going to pin it in place.
It's really important when you pin the pizza this time that you make sure to capture the arm. So your needle or your pin will go through the top and bottom fabric and also the pink little arm inside.
Let's talk about how to thread that needle. Now you've probably seen grown-ups take the end of their yarn and lick it and stick it into their mouth. That's one way to do it, but it can get pretty slimy and sometimes it doesn't work. So let me show you my favorite trick. Take a piece of paper and cut it into a very small rectangle. Once you've got that very small rectangle, fold it in half. Then you're going to see if it will fit in the eye or the opening of the needle. Let's get close to that needle, shall we? There we go, nice and close. Let's see if my folded piece of paper will fit in the opening or the eye of the needle. There we go, that's what we're looking for, and perfect fit. Now I have a needle threader. Set your needle down, open your needle threader. We're going to call it a hot dog bun because it kind of resembles that, maybe a little bit. Take the end of your thread and you're going to put it inside of that hot dog bun. Just make sure that there's no hot dog sticking out of your bun. Get out of here, hot dog. Back it up. There we go. Now I'm going to pinch the end of my yarn, my paper, and I'm going to slide it into that eye or opening. Keep on sliding it until voila, my thread has popped out the other side. Now we're going to need to knot the ends of the thread. So you're going to need to match up the two ends of thread, make the letter U, make the letter O, take those tails, put them inside of that O and pull. Now you have a knot. I like to make a double knot. That's really going to make it so that when I'm sewing, my thread doesn't come flying out of whatever I'm stitching. So I'm just going to do that same thing again. Make the letter U, an O, take the tails, put them in the opening, and pull. And now that my needle is threaded, I'm going to go ahead and start stitching. Like I said, I'm only working on the V. So I'm going to start at the top of the V, and I'm doing a whip stitch. So I'm going to start in the back, and I'm holding this my stitching up so that I can see the back and the front of my fabric. I need to make sure that I stitch through both. So I'm just making sure that my needle is passing through both the front and the back and that my knot is on the back. For a whip stitch, you go around what you're stitching. You whip your needle around. There is no need to nay, you're just whipping. So I'm going to go all the way around just like that.
Sometimes a whip stitch can be a little bit tricky. Think of it this way. Your needle is going around what you're stitching. It's whipping around. So it is almost always popping its head up, whipping around to the back. Popping its head up, whipping around to the back. That might help you remember. You could also do a simple up and down stitch. Either one will work just fine. Do what works for you.
Now that I'm done with one side, it looks like I'm about to run out of thread pretty soon. Before I do, I'm going to flip this over and tie a knot. With my needle, I'm going to slide my needle underneath my last stitch. I'm going to pretend that this is an airplane leaving an airport. So it's taking off, and just as it starts to fly away, it notices it left behind a really important passenger, this hair loop that my pinky is in. So I'm going to turn my airplane around, go inside that loop and pull, creating a knot.
It's always a good idea to double knot, so let's do that airplane trick again, going underneath the last stitch, pulling it up. Oh, I almost forgot that very important passenger. Pick it up and pull. Finished, go ahead and snip, and then I will cut my thread and use my magical needle threader and start right back up again right here. All right, guys, the moment of truth. Let's take these pins out and see if my pizza is going to turn out correctly. Now, you might have been wondering, why did we make those arms and then hide them inside? Well, here's why. Now I'm going to take my pizza and just flip it inside out, just like a sock. So I'm going to go ahead and grab all the way down to the very tip of the pizza, using my thumb to poke that bottom of the pizza out so it's nice and pointy. And voila, now I have a pizza with arms. Who doesn't want that? But it really doesn't look much like a pizza until I start adding my stuffing and those toppings. So why don't we go ahead and work on adding the stuffing first. We'll have to stuff it and then stitch across the top. And when I stuff my pizza, I want it to be really, really fluffy. So I'm going to need to take this batting and really push it all the way down into the corner of that pizza. So I'm using my pointer finger and doing this to really get all of that stuffing in there. And I'll keep on doing that until I feel like my pizza is nice and stuffed, just like a pillow. Now, I do have to stitch across the top. So what I'll have to do is get the stuffing in there and then push it down, pack it down really tightly so that I have enough space to put my pins across the top. When I'm finished, then I can give my pizza a little massage to work the stuffing back up to the top. But for now, go ahead, pack it in nice and tight, and I'm going to match these up the best I can and add some pins before I start stitching. All right, stitching is complete. Let's go ahead and take those pins out. Now it's a little flat right here, so I'm gonna start at the bottom of my pizza and give him a little massage. Oh, pizza like.
To make the cheese and sauce for your pizza, the first thing you might want to do is take your pizza pattern and cut it into a slightly smaller triangle by trimming off the top. Pin it to whatever color fabric you want for your sauce and cut it out. To make the cheese, do the same thing, but make kind of a squiggly, melted cheese looking edge when you cut that fabric out. Next up, let's talk toppings. Mushrooms, draw an arch or a curved line. 2 short horizontals, 2 short verticals connect, and voila, you've got a mushroom. How easy is that? Now let's talk green peppers. To create green peppers, all you have to do is cut a nice long arc on your fabric. Cut out a bunch. That way your pizza has some crunch. When you're finished with that, you can always trim them and cut them in half. Done with the green peppers, let's move on to olives. Try cutting the fabric into circles. You could fold it in half if you have really sharp scissors, and that way you get a 2-for-1. Less work for you. Now anchovies. Draw a nice curved line. Then do another one at the bottom. Make it fishtail at the bottom. Of course, he's no longer alive, so we'll give him a little X for that. And of course, everybody's favorite, pepperoni. For that, simply cut larger circles. Now you'll have a great pile of toppings for your pizza.
Oh my goodness, I'm a naked pizza! Oh, for the love, I can't go out like this. Oh, there you are, sauce and cheese. Thank goodness. Now, let's see, what kind of mood am I in today? Let's see what it's like outside. Oh my goodness, it's a beautiful day. I cannot wait to get out there. Yes!
Wait just a minute, little slice. Have you cleaned your room yet? Not to mention, have you done your pizza homework yet? And all those dishes in the sink, they're not going to do themselves, you know.
Clean my room, pizza homework, do the dishes. How will I ever get it done in time? I know. I'll do a little bit of both. I'll do a little bit of work and a little bit of play, and then it'll all get done and it'll be an adventure while I'm doing it.
Once you've got all of your pieces figured out and you know where you want them to go and you want them to stick, you're going to need to glue. I'm using something called tacky glue. And it's just that, really, really tacky and sticky. And I like to apply it with the paintbrush. I'm going to need to start by taking off my sauce and flipping it over to the back. Whenever I'm using this glue, because it can drip and get everywhere, if it starts to drip, wipe it on the lip or the edge of the cup. And I'm just adding some of the dots of glue around the edges. I don't even need to put any in the middle. If I have glue around the edges, then that's plenty of glue. So you can see I'm not even using a lot. It's super duper sticky and it dries pretty quick. All right, once you've got your glue on there, flip it over and place it where you want your sauce to go and give your pizza a little massage to get that glue to stick. Hold it for just a couple of seconds and then you can start to glue your cheese and all the other parts of your pizza.